Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 143.
143. Woohoo!
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose.
Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way.
Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy do, Who fans. Welcome to 143. Hope you've had a cracking week. And that you've managed to do something in Doctor Who related, but not in the extreme.
Boom.
I hope you didn't go all extreme. I saw that many of you went extreme on Twitter after Extremis or Extremis, however you want to say it, on Saturday. Very, very interesting. I think we said it, didn't we, last week? We said that this would be the one.
Yeah,
that was going to turn the series on its head and go off in a different direction. It had a very different vibe, didn't it, to the rest of Series 10 that we've seen so far.
Oh, it did, and the reaction to it's just been massively divided, isn't it?
Yeah.
And do you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know about you, but I think it's quite interesting actually mid-series to shake things up a bit, good and bad, because we were saying last week, weren't we, that all our scores so far for each episode this series, we've pretty much agreed, I think, on all of them.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's quite good to have this one thrown in because I've no idea what you made of it. And I've no idea what I made of it the first watch. So it's quite good, I think, to get this one to shake things up a little bit, as much as, even though some people didn't enjoy it, I think it's a good thing. Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
So we'll see what we actually thought of the episode. Whether we enjoyed it is a whole nother matter.
That's true.
To that later. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely one of those more. I think it's the most divided yet. I think it's been.
Yes.
I think people have consistently loved Series 10 so far, and I think this one, maybe it's gonna. Yeah, we're going to see some lower scores. I think on this one. Yeah,
certainly the comments were unbelievably mixed this week. The feedback we got. Yeah. So it's been very interesting, actually, reading through different people's comments, yeah.
Well, that's the world of Doctor Who. You can't escape the divided opinion and all that stuff, which is great. It's great for us as podcasters because for you and I, we don't talk about the episode until we record the review, do we?
That's right. Yeah.
It's really cool to have like the initial opinions, watching all that. So when the episode is done, it's like, right, let's open up Twitter and, see what people have got to say. So it's fun to see all the initial reaction and all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's fun to see the reviews then pop up on other blogs and podcasts throughout the week. And then it's fun talking through it with you for our review. Right. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I try very hard not to give too much away because I'm sure you get it as well. People immediately after the episode, people all sort of tweet, what did you think?
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't want to put it out there yet. Like to keep myself guarded from Gary until we record because it's much more fun if we don't know because I've literally no idea. And even when I was watching this for a second time yesterday, I was thinking all the way through, I wonder what Gary's making of this. He'll either be loving it or he'll be sat there thinking, what the? So yeah, it's much more fun. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one.
Yes. Well, I've had a fairly quiet week for the most part. What have you been up to, mate? Anything cool Who-wise?
No, I've had a fairly quiet week. I did manage to get a little bit of Who something in. Do you remember a couple of months back a DVD came out called The Pertwee Years from, can't remember who it is. Is it Koch or is it Mythmakers? I forget.
Mythmakers. Yep.
Well, I picked that up the other week when I was out shopping with our good friend Adam, the Ultimate Huvin. I picked it up in HMV. And it had remained sealed on the shelf. So the other day I was like, what can I watch? Need something new. And there it was. I was like, yes, Haven't opened that yet. Let's get that on. And so I watched it, and it's not bad actually. It's a 2-disc set, which surprised me because I didn't even realise it was 2 discs. And it's basically they've collected together any sort of major interview connected with the Pertwee era, and they've just put them all in this set. So it's quite good. So it starts with the great man himself, and it's I don't know if you've ever seen many interviews of John Pertwee, but he's quite he's an interesting guy. Let's put it that way. He's perfect to be interviewed. He's got lots of stories, and he's humorous, and he's serious when he needs to be. And so that was really cool. So I watched an interview of him. There's loads on it though, and this is what I love about it. Is it feels really good value for money because I've still got a whole disc of interviews of people to watch. So I think Joe, not Joe Grant. What's her real name? Katie Manning. That's the one. She's on there obviously, and Carol Ann John's on there. Nick Courtney's on there. So there's loads of great interviews on there. But I've only got around to watching a couple of them so far because they're quite long as well. So that was really, really good. I was really pleased to pick it up because I had no idea what it's going to be like. If you know what I mean, I didn't know really what it was. It was just the fact there was something new on the Who shelf and H&V, and that I picked it up. So so that was good. Watched a bit of that.
Cool.
And I haven't really done much else apart from I bought my ticket for Collectomania in Birmingham finally, which is coming up. Is that next weekend?
MCM.
Or the weekend for no, not MCM, mate. No, it's the Showmasters one.
Oh, the Showmaster. Okay.
Yeah. Coming up very soon. And I bought that because I specifically wanted to meet David Bradley. Because I've been wanting to meet him forever. And he does do a few of them, but they're normally sort of Cardiff, or they're normally not places that are that easy for me to get to. So when I saw he was doing Birmingham, I was really chuffed because I was like, okay, yeah, that's doable. I can get to Birmingham, not too bad. Yeah, okay. So I get my ticket. 3 days later,
this is going. No,
he's cancelled, isn't he?
Oh, mate,
he's been cancelled. And I was like, no. He was like, I mean, thankfully there are other people there I want to meet. Barrowman's there, and I say it like that because I was again thrilled when Barrowman was added until I saw the price. He's like 45 quid, I think, for an autograph, which is a little bit too much. But yeah, thankfully there are other people that are there that I want to meet. But Bradders was right up there, top of my list, and I was so looking forward to meeting him. So I was gutted that he's cancelled. But a lot of people are saying it sort of fueled these rumours that he's going to make an appearance in the Christmas special, because there's been all these rumours flying around that he's coming back as the first Doctor in the Christmas special.
Yes. Yep.
Which I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. But apparently they are filming in June, so they're like, oh, that's why he's cancelled. And also, if you've seen that clip of him when he's asked, he's such a nice man. He's not very good at lying. True. And he does kind of sort of say, oh, you didn't hear it from me. And so you sort of think, maybe that is true. But I don't know. I can't imagine it somehow. But yeah. So anyway, bit gutted. Got my ticket for that, but bit gutted that old Brad has cancelled. I hope I get to meet him one day, because I know you'll agree with me here. An Adventure in Space and Time is just one of my favourite things ever.
Absolutely.
I just thought it literally, even now, just like one of my favourite things that I own on DVD. So I was really, really looking forward to meeting him. But hey ho, there's lots of other people. I can't think who else is there now, but there's lots of other people. So still be a good band. So that's the only other thing I've done really, is I got that, and just quite looking forward to it. I think it's next weekend. I must check. It's beginning of June anyway. Yeah, so that's me, mate. Nothing else really going on. Just topping up my tan because we've got sunshine here in the UK, which is a rarity.
It is lovely today.
Yes, it's beautiful today. We're frying again, aren't we?
We are. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So quite a week for me as well, mate. Not done much really. Watched Extremis a couple of times. I did start a new book. I picked up a Target book.
Right.
I think it's, last month or the month before. From the Who Shop. It's the Greatest Show. Target book. I've read the first couple of chapters of that.
Oh, cool.
We'll be finishing that. So
Gary showed me the cover. Sorry, you're probably thinking, why am I saying, cool, randomly. He's just showed me the cover of the book. It's, looks nice. It's the actual old classic Target books. I just love the artwork on these. I mean, that's why I love collecting them. Yeah,
they're amazing. Yeah. That's that's one of the appeal, isn't it? Is the classic artwork.
Yeah,
on the
definitely.
Target books. Yes, it's a good so far. Good.
I'll be interested to hear how it differs from the actual TV show, because I like that story. Anyway, I think it's a good McCoy story. So I'll be interested to hear what the book's like in comparison. Yeah.
Yes. I'll let you know.
Let me know when you're finished. Yeah.
Will do. Other than that, fairly quiet. Not much else going on.
No.
Shall we land a TARDIS?
Okay.
Do some news. First up, we need to talk about Oxygen official ratings for the week.
Yeah.
So over the last few weeks, we've been giving you the rundown on each episode and how it's performed against the other shows in the top 30 list. And Oxygen has fallen a wee bit down. I think the lowest rating we've had so far was 24th. I think 24th in the list. So we've dropped down a little bit again. So this is number 26 now with an overall rating of 5.27 million viewers for the week. And I think the other ones have been pushing just under 6 million. So we have dropped down a little bit. I'm surprised at one of the shows that beat us on this one. So we know that, I have to say every week, just in case people do sort of, get wherever you're listening to this show, whether you're in an office or at home or on the commute, I don't want you to have an accident or, storm out of your office with a hump. Coronation Street and EastEnders, they do split out each show of the 5 days as individual entries.
Yeah, which annoys you really. They should just do an average and put it in, I think. But anyway.
An average, yes. But so the Eurovision Song Contest, obviously. That normally pulls in, quite astonishingly a high amount of viewers. And then we have EastEnders and Emmerdale is up there as well. But we were beat by Have I Got News for You? Now, I didn't think many people watch that one anymore. No. But it's obviously made a bit of a comeback. So that one's snuck in there. And then MasterChef as well.
I see that, yeah.
Quite annoying. So, but it hasn't done too badly. We're still in there. We're still in there in the top 30, clinging on.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because I always, I always moan about MasterChef whenever it comes on the telly because I just can't believe it. I can never believe it's still going. Like, it's just people still cooking food. I'm like, have they not got round to the finals of this yet? I don't really watch it, so I don't really understand it. But this is so Oxygen last week got a very low overnight, didn't it? Is that the one? Is that the one that got the worst? It was like the worst overnight since Ghostlight or something. So it's picked up a bit since then. I think it got 3-point-something million on an overnight, and everyone was like, but it was, it was a good episode, and no one watched it, and blah blah blah. But I think it's gone up to 527, so it's still a good jump up from what it had.
Right,
and it's I agree with you, mate. It's reasonable, still performing well in terms of in the bigger picture of things. But if you took out, so you got Coronation Street is in there 4 or 5 times, Emmerdale's in the listed 4 or 5 times. If you take out then you've got 5, 10, you could easily get rid of like 20 places and we'd jump up in the top sort of 10. It's just that we've got all these, they count every episode of Coronation Street as as one place, don't they? So yeah, it's okay. I mean, like you said, it's disappointing it's beaten by things like MasterChef and stuff like that, but it's still a reasonable figure. Yeah,
it's not bad.
Not too bad. Yeah,
not too bad. Yep. So that's
not
Oxygen.
Disastrous. No. Yeah.
Not extreme, but not disastrous.
Yeah.
That's the only bit of news we got. Very light.
It is.
I'm just going to talk about viewing figures. So we do have our Dalek friend ready and waiting. It's not raining anymore. He's not going rusty. He's out. Yeah. He's like it's a bit like in a hot summer's day when you've been out in the car for a little while and the sun's beating down, and then when you go to touch the car, you get like that instant. It's like putting your hand on a hot cooker hob.
Yeah.
He's like that at the moment, so we should bring him in, shouldn't we?
Bring him in.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Before we go on, somebody did actually give our Dalek friend a name or suggest a name.
Oh, he's got a name, is he?
Yes, he was it. Somebody said we should call him... Oh, him again. We should call it Dalek Tat.
Dalek Tat? I like it.
I think that's quite fitting.
Who gave us that one?
That was George Garrity.
Oh, cool. I like it, George. Yeah, actually somebody messaged me. I had Ronald was suggested, I think, as a name, which I quite like. Ronald. Yeah, Ronald the Dalek. But no, Dalek Tat. Quite like that. Yeah, kind of fitting with what comes in a lot of the time.
Yeah, because I think out of all of the tat that all of the merch that we do get handed, some of it stands out as very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, on with the tats from Dalek Tat. So, the Lethbridge Stewart range. Yeah. As you know, they often throw out a free story, which is cool. And we have the second one of this year so far, and it's called The Runaway Bomb.
Oh,
which sounds very cool. Yes, so our friend Andy Frankomallen, Mr. Andy, says at the end of Mutually Assured Domination, which is the last novel, I think, Lethbridge Stewart considered two soldiers for the fifth. Both helped him fight the Dominators, but we've not heard from them since. So this short story shows us a little of how Lethbridge Stewart recruits new troops for the corps. Only one of the two will make the grade, and the winner has a guest spot in Night of the Intelligence, the novel for which this short story is in the companion. So there's a bit of backstory for you. So the Runaway Bomb. So as usual, you will need to jump over to the Candy Jar Books website and yes, grab it from there.
Nice one. Yeah, excellent. They do. It's great how they do these little freebies that tie in. I like it. Good work, guys.
The next novel that I mentioned there, Night of the Intelligence, you can pre-order it now, by the way, from Candy Jar. So yes, do that as well.
Awesome. Right, talking of books, there's a lovely little book coming out called Now We Are 600, which initially I was like, I kind of overlooked this till I went back and actually had a proper look at it, what it was today. So it's a collection of Time Lord poems, basically, which is why I sort of didn't take much notice of it first. I was like, oh dear, scraping the barrel. But actually, now I've actually read what it is. It actually does sound like a really nice little book. So it's going to be, it's basically James Goss, who's done City of Death, and I was trying to think what the other book is he did. Sharda, was it, or was that Gareth Roberts? I forget now, but he's done some great work for Doctor Who. He's also done a lot for Big Finish, actually. So he's a very good writer, James Goss, and it's going to be illustrated by Russell T Davies, the man himself. Now, I didn't know Russell was an artist. Did you?
I did not. No.
No. So basically, yeah, it's a collection of poems. It sounds like James Goss has brought them together and sort of done his magic on them, and then it's going to be illustrated by Russell T Davies. And it's basically, it's a collection of poems about Time Lords, I guess. I'm just looking for the description here. It says, very special, unique gift for every Doctor Who fan. That's James Goss speaking, by the way. The poems have been a delight to work on, said Russell. It's just something he said he's always wanted to do, isn't it? He said he's always drawn Doctor Who illustration, so he's really pleased to have finally got his chance to put them together with something that he really likes.
Yeah.
I think. So it sounds like quite a nice little book.
It does, yeah. And I'm really interested to see these little doodles from Russell. There's a couple on the cover. He's done a little Dalek there, and there's also the Fourth Doctor hanging from the TARDIS
I like
from
that.
his scarf, which looks cool.
Yeah.
So Now We Are 600. Yeah, it's based on. It's like a sort of clever play on the famous poem Now We Are 6. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's from A. Milne, the person who did all the Winnie the Pooh stuff originally.
Oh, okay.
So a famous poem, Now We Are 6. So it's like a play on words there. But this looks really cool. Like you at first, I thought, Doctor Who poetry.
Yeah, I did. I was the same. I have to admit, I was like, oh, what's that about? Yeah. But now I've read into it.
Not to say that we're not cultured or anything like that. We're not saying that at all. But I'm not one for poetry per se.
No. The tagline I was trying to find, by the way, I found it now. It says it's a collection of charming, funny and whimsical poems that celebrate the joys, sorrows and wonders of Time Lord life. There we go. That's the bit I was trying to find. So now we know what it's about.
There we go. When's it out?
It is out.
Oh, September.
It's good. Yeah, 2 weeks before National Poetry Day. So they're tying it in with that.
Yes, you can order it from Amazon immediately. Interesting one. There's normally not much of a big price difference in physical books and Kindle, but if you buy, it's out in hardcover, as these things normally are for a while, for a £10 from Amazon. The Kindle edition's only a £5.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I don't do Kindle, I'll be honest with you.
Choose wisely.
Yeah. I'm probably going to get this, mate. Are you going to get it?
I will, yeah. Looks very cool.
Yeah, just because I love the drawings by RTD and stuff. So, yeah, I will get it, yeah. It'd be great if they did a sign-in for it. Don't suppose they will, but you never know. I'll keep my eye open.
Oh, actually, yeah, FP might be up for that.
Well, James Goss always does sign-ins for his books in FP, is what I'm thinking. You never know if he manages to get Russell along. That'd be amazing. But, yeah, we don't know this is happening. We're just hoping.
Yeah, we're just hoping as usual.
Yeah.
Right, last up for merch. Titan Comics have released information about a new comics event, which is happening in August. So the Titan Comics, they've had a really good run, which is still ongoing. But to kick things off for Doctor Who Comics Day in August, they have announced a new story. I think it's an 8-part story called The Lost Dimension.
Yeah.
And let me just find the synopsis of this. So Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor is battling the universe's darkest forces in the latest season of Doctor Who, which is currently on Saturdays, but the menace continues for the Doctor in August with the multi-Doctor storyline, The Lost Dimension. So I don't know if that's a tie-in to the TV series or not.
Right.
So the Alpha issue kicks off the Titan Doctor Who Comics Day, and then continues with the 9th Doctor special of that same week. So it's an epic event, apparently, The Lost Dimension. So 8 chapters over 3 months, crossing over all 4 ongoing series of 9, 10, 11 and 12 Doctors.
Nice. I like the covers on these. They're quite, they're a bit different, aren't they? I mean, it must be difficult to keep coming up with ideas for these covers because the comics there's so many of them now. But I like these. They've got like a swirly, the O in Doctor Who, in the Who is like a swirly vortex of TARDIS in, which is a nice little touch. So, I don't know about you, Gary, but I'm very behind on my comics. They keep coming through the letterbox. I'm like, oh God, I still haven't read issue 4 yet, and I'm issue 8, and I've got so many to catch up on that I've almost considered cancelling once I get to the end of the run, because they sort of, they'll do like year 2, year 3. I'm just getting so behind, but I will probably pick these up, and they'll probably just sit there and not be read. But they do look nice, I have to say. Do look nice. Yes. When they actually out again? Sorry,
it will be August, the end of August, the 30th.
August. Yeah. Okay, well, I've got a few months to catch up then.
Yeah, so it kicks off Titan's Doctor Who Comics Day thing, which they did last. I think it officially starts in September this year. September the 2nd is when like retailers will start doing it all. But this kicks off part of that, and apparently it's around something called The Void, which if you've read any of the other Titan comics, you'd know about. So just lastly, synopsis is: the void has always existed. No place, the silent realm, the lost dimension, but the void is no longer empty. The void is hungry and devouring our universe through time and space. Now the 4 Doctors must join forces to save everything.
Hungry.
There we go. If you're into your Titan comics, or if you've not been into it, this is a good chance to jump on, I suppose. It sounds like a good isolated little 8-parter.
It does.
That's going to do for news and merch. Adam, what are we doing this week?
Yes, let's get into it. I'm looking forward to this. So this week's episode was, let's call it Extremis.
The Pope requests most urgently a personal audience.
The Veritas contains a secret. Everyone who worked on the translation is now dead.
You're blind, and you don't want your enemies to know. But why does it have to be a secret from Bill?
You happy in those shades?
In darkness we are revealed.
Very few know this place exists. The Hereticum.
Something's coming, Bill. Something very big. And something possibly very, very bad. How can I save them when I'm lost in the dark?
Whoa.
That's quite the trailer.
It is indeed.
What are we going to call this moving forward then?
Well, he does say it in the episode. I must admit, I kept my ears open because he does say it when he's in the Oval Office, doesn't he? I think he calls it Extremis, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure. He did say it, but of course I've forgotten now.
Let's call it Extremis then.
Extremis, yeah, because I remember thinking, well, that's just one letter away from extremists. Yes. So I think it's Extremis, yeah.
So, obviously part of Series 10, written by the Mothball.
The Mothball, yeah.
As if you wouldn't as if you didn't know.
As if you couldn't guess.
It was directed by Daniel Netheim.
And edited by Movie Maker. No.
Yeah, Final Cut Pro.
Yeah. I've got to get onto that when we get into it. I just can't get over some of it. Anyway, yes.
So, very, very roughly, very briefly, it's Doctor Who meets the Matrix, meets the Da Vinci Code, and misses in the vault.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on to our scores. Right. I don't know where to start with this one, mate. I really don't.
No, I didn't think you would.
I'm going to just put the pressure on you then. So, as I normally do, what did you make of this one, mate?
Okay. Right. So, I watched this going out live. I was aware that I thought it was I thought it was a double episode. It's actually a trilogy, isn't it? So it's
a loose trilogy.
A loose trilogy. Yeah, so it's a loose trilogy. So I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting any conclusion or anything. So yeah, I watched it live. On a first watch, I really enjoyed it. I was quite engrossed in it. I was thinking, okay, I was getting deeper and deeper into what was going on. The whole way through, I was thinking, this is such a typical Stephen Moffat episode. It's just throwing out loads of questions, giving us absolutely no answers. It's flipping back and forth and all that. So there was that, but I was enjoying it. I did find myself getting engrossed. I wanted to know what was going on, and I thought it was quite good. The thing that I wasn't enjoying was the way it was chopped together with the Missy stuff, because there's one scene when I was joking about the editing. It didn't seem very slick. Right. Like it seemed to be all over the place, because we've had so many episodes where you go back and forth and they're, having flashbacks or whatever. But in this one, scenes would just fade into black for what felt like forever, and then cutting back to the main story. I'm thinking in particular, and I don't know if you know the scene of me, mate, but there's a bit where Miss is saying no honor, no reward, and all that, and the Doctor says it, and then it just cuts to black. And it's almost like a mistake. And me and my other half looked at each other at that point. It's like, what's happening? We thought the TV had switched itself off. I don't know. It didn't flow in terms of the way it was edited. But I did find myself engrossed in it. And I did really enjoy it on a first watch. Now, I always try and watch these things again. And I watched it again yesterday. I did really still enjoy it, but I've got to say it doesn't hold up for me much on a second watch. And this is the problem with a lot of Stephen Moffat scripts, because I found myself sat there. Once you know what the sort of the twist is at the end, the bit that is sort of like, so on the first watch, you're like, oh, okay, they're all trapped in a version. Oh, right. Okay, that's cool. Didn't hold together as well on a second watch. I started to see why people didn't like it, because as I said, on the first watch I thought it was great, and I was looking at the comments thinking, wow, it's a cracking episode. But now I can see, so I'm a bit in the middle on this one now. I think I would have scored it quite high on a first watch, but I have to say it's fallen apart a little bit for me on a second watch, but I still like it. So that's where I am in it. I like it, but just not as much on a second watch. But yeah, I thought it was decent. I just found myself getting wrapped up in what was going on, and it did really leave me wanting the next episode, which is a good thing. So I was thinking, okay, I'm ready for part 2 now. This is just a setup episode, which is very Moffat. It's just a setup episode. So yeah, so that's where I am on it. I liked it, but a few little niggles with it, which I'll get into. But yeah, so that's me. What about you, mate?
Yes. Crikey. So. So yeah, same as you, when I heard it's going to be a multi-part story, initially I thought it was going to be a 2-parter like you.
Yeah.
And then found out it was going to be this the Monks trilogy, it's going to be known as. And I thought, okay, this is kind of like the Moff. This feels very Moff-esque, very familiar. And then as the episode was going through, I found myself thinking, this is absolutely just genius. This is absolutely amazing, brilliant Doctor Who.
Oh, right, cool.
And then I fell out of that and I thought, this is rubbish.
Oh.
And then something else would happen and I thought, this is amazing again. This is just brilliant. And then I thought, no, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
And then the second time I watched it, I had exactly the same. It's really weird. I had exactly the same feelings. I thought, this is great. This is amazing. Like the Moff has really, really done it. you know. And then I thought, no, he hasn't. He really hasn't. He's just slipped back into his old ways, and it just feels very convoluted and just feels very scrappy. You know,
it was messy.
Yeah,
it was messy, and I kept thinking about the fact that this series had been so accessible for new viewers up to now, and this could not have been more opposite. So, for example, my partner has watched all of Series 10, and we've both really enjoyed it. And he said the same thing. You know, it's been so much easier to watch, just standalone stories. I like it. He got up, I think it was about 20 minutes into this, started making some, I don't know, just went to the kitchen basically. He got bored.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh dear, that's the first episode in Series 10 where he's sort of stuck with it for 20 minutes and thought, no, I don't know what's going on, and given up. And unfortunately, I do worry that a lot of other people who might have jumped back on Series 10 might have had the same reaction, because Series 10 definitely brought people back. There's no doubt about it. I mean, viewing figures aside and stuff, just from general reaction on Twitter and Facebook, I've seen a lot of people saying, yeah, haven't watched Doctor Who for ages, but I'm quite liking this new series, and I'm really liking Capaldi. I don't know why I didn't watch him before and all that. So it's definitely brought people back. But I did sort of think that I thought this is great for the sort of hardcore fan. Yep. I think that's why I was loving it. But I did think for anyone else that might have just tuned in, Doctor Who's on, would probably be sat there thinking, what the blimmin' heck is going on? Because I was thinking that, but I was quite enjoying not knowing. I quite like the fact we sort of getting deeper and deeper into this mystery. But it was a real. Let's put it this way: we didn't sort of get eased into it. Like the series has flowed really, really nicely up to this point. This is just a complete switch around, and it was so much back to Moffat's sort of typical style, wasn't it? Of timey-wimey, confusing, writing. I mean, personally, I did quite enjoy it, but I was a little bit worried about the major shift that we got in terms of viewers. But hey.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, I think for the most part, I really like it. I think it's a really cool story, and I think it's really clever as well. I think I know a lot of people didn't like it that much because of all of the Moffat style, timey-wiminess and all that stuff. But I think it was, I don't know, I want to love it. I really want to love it as a great episode, and I do, I really enjoyed it, but there was just moments in it when I thought, well, for a start, I think the reveal of the vault was a bit of a letdown. I think they could have made more of that.
That was a major letdown. So even just the way it was done, wasn't it? I mean, there was two major blows for me. A, that it turned out to be Missy in the vault, or well, unless they pull something out of the bag in the next episode, which is going to turn that around. But seems like it's Missy in the vault, which is very predictable, and it felt like a real big letdown. But also, after all the build-up we've had, it was kind of just thrown away in sort of the first few minutes, wasn't it? It was no big reveal, or it just felt like a real anticlimax. So that again, on a second viewing, I was thinking, that's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, and also for me, the thing that left me sort of disappointed quite a bit was, of course, it had to be River.
Yeah,
as to why this is the thing, isn't it? So in River's sort of last moments, if you like, she has instructed Nardole to keep the Doctor,
in check.
In check, pretty much, and he's not, and that's his promise, isn't it? That's his promise to River, isn't it, or whatever. So that was really disappointing for me. I thought, there was a great opportunity there to inject some new thing into Doctor Who, or make it, a bit more intriguing. But after all, it was just, once again, the Moffats just lent on River Song.
Yeah.
And that was just really disappointing for me. That was one of the things, after I watched it, I thought, well, that was a great episode, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's got moments of genius in there. It's very clever, but those two things, the vault reveal, just being really in the background almost, because you saw the vault sort of rise up from the lake in those sort of execution scenes, and so you knew instantly that was what it was. There was no big thing, and then the whole River Song thing, Nardole pulling out the diary and reading it. I just thought, come on, you've built it up for a long, for 5 episodes now. You've built it up and up and up, and then mid-season, I know he said that we were going to find out mid-season, but it was just like, it's like, like in sort of conversation, it's like, how have you been? Oh, not too bad. Yeah, walked the dogs the other day. I won 20 million on the lottery, and then I had some beans on toast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you're thinking, right? Hold on, whoa, back up.
Yeah,
it's almost like you were thinking, well, let's rewind a bit. Let's dive into this bit of info a little bit more, and it wasn't like that. It was just washed over. No. And so, yeah.
That's why I'm hoping we might get a bit more next week. Because, I was expecting like the doors to open, some big reveal, something like that. And like you said, it wasn't. It was just like a throwaway sort of line almost, wasn't it? It was disappointing because I was really hyped to find out what was in there this week, even though I thought, wow, it's got to be Missy, but maybe it'll be something else, Did you think that Nardal, in his cloak when he comes up in that scene, I, for 1 second, thought it might be John Sim. I don't know why. I think it's just because there was this hooded figure looking down.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and we've heard all this stuff about this could be the episode he might return in. And I was thinking, could it be? Is he going to flick that cloak up, and is it going to be Sim under there? This would be crazy. And then it turned out to be Nardal with River Song's Diary, and I was a little bit like, what?
Yeah.
Because he was doing like a voice at the start, wasn't he, to try and hide it? So I was like, is that Sim? That's not Sim, is it?
No,
is it
you
Sim?
could tell it was Matt Lucas, even though he's doing the voice,
Yeah, so that was a little bit disappointing, I thought. I saw a lot of people saying it was so complicated they couldn't understand it. One thing I would say was, for a Moffat script, there was a lot going on in there. I'm not saying it wasn't complicated, but I did understand it, but on the first watch. So I don't know about you. I didn't sort of get to the end of it and think, what was going on? Obviously, on a second watch, it does all become so much clearer. But I didn't get to the end of it and find myself completely lost, which sometimes quite often I do in a Moffat script. I mean, I'm not the best at always sort of following a storyline, I'll be honest with you. So I didn't think it was overly complicated. I thought it was quite clear by the end of it what had been going on. What did you think? Did you think it was overly complicated?
Not particularly. I didn't think it was one of those. Yeah, because again, I saw a lot of people saying that it was very convoluted and very sort of all over the place. I couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah, I think if you switched off, maybe it was. So, I mean, if you weren't into the story, I mean, I suppose that maybe that's why I got it, because I was very engrossed in it. Yeah. But I suppose if you weren't engrossed in it and you found your mind wandering or you're checking your phone, I think you could easily get lost. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't get too lost, really. I mean, it was absolutely, mate. If you grabbed your phone and checked Twitter even for a minute, or if somebody interrupted and you missed a scene, then you would lose it for sure. It's one of those episodes where you've got to watch it properly from start to finish, otherwise you will lose yourself. But I wasn't too confused. I was more, it was more sort of that mental effort to sort of keep up.
Yeah,
if you like, and make sure you're following it properly. But I mean, another thing for me is that it's very, very obvious with some of these Moffat scripts that he has a weekend of watching films or TV programs, and then they end up in Doctor Who. That's very, very apparent, isn't it? Because if you look at how the episode opened, so the Vatican turn up, don't they, to request the Doctor's help with something.
And that was quite a funny little scene, actually. I like that.
And then the Pope's there, and all these sort of heads from the Vatican, and the style that was, because they say to him, we want you to look at something called the Veritas, which is this script, isn't it? This book from centuries old that predates everything, but when people read it, they then commit suicide. So that they requested the Doctor's help, to investigate this. And all that, even the style of the story and almost the way it was filmed as well, the way, the look and feel of that opening sort of 15 minutes with all that going on, that was, if anyone's ever seen the Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks, it's pretty much that. It's like a code almost to be sorted out. And so that it felt like the Moffat had just watched a load of films that weekend before he wrote it, and just sort of injected those themes into it.
It wouldn't be the first time, would it? Last Christmas, aliens. So he does do that a lot. What would you call it? Stealing? No, I mean
plagiarism.
Homage, yeah.
Homage, yeah. And then the other thing was, saying that this was a computer simulation. That's obviously, as we all know, that's like the Matrix. That's been we've seen all that stuff before. Because we've seen this before with Doctor Who. It references, the Alien movies, in the past, and sometimes it feels very much like something we've seen before. And again, that for me was, I don't necessarily mind watching Who or sci-fi that leans on other sci-fi a little bit and borrows good themes, because essentially that's how good sci-fi is made. It's all in that genre. It's all sort of, there's a big sort of bag of tricks somewhere, and it's got all these very recognizable and, well-trodden paths, if you know what I mean, from all these sci-fi themes. So
yeah,
you can pick these out from time to time and use them. But I just felt like this was very much ooh, look what we watched at the weekend. We should put this in Doctor Who, and more than once. So
yeah, I mean, it can be very blatant. Like, was it last week in Oxygen we got that? It actually started with the Star Trek tagline, didn't it? Space, the final frontier. And I was thinking, okay, sometimes they're really blatant in their sort of borrowing, and other times they kind of slip it in there, seeing if you notice. So yeah.
Well, we had a couple of things, didn't we? In this one, we had some video game references and stuff, didn't we? We had Grand Theft Auto and Mario.
That's right.
And,
what did you think about him saying that when you shoot people in a game, they do really feel it? Did you think that was the Moff trying to get kids to stop playing? Because he was sort of basically saying when kids are playing those games, the characters in the games do actually feel it.
Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe.
And I was thinking, is he just putting a little message out there to the kids to stop playing all these violent games?
Possibly.
Yeah. Because this was quite a dark episode. I mean, the Moffat does tend to go quite dark. I mean, there was, on the second watch, it struck me of how much suicide is mentioned in it, which I mean, I did pick up on a first watch, but on the second watch, it really struck home how many times like suicide comes up and is even, said in the episode, and it's said a lot. And I thought that is quite dark for Doctor Who, actually. You've got like everybody killing themselves, the guys with the bombs under the desks, the pill taking. Funny enough, on the first watch, it didn't really bother me, but on the second watch, it did strike me as a bit unpleasant. Was when they make a joke out of the guy shooting himself. The guy who reads the book and runs away. And then they said, at least one survived, and then you hear the gunshot. And I was like, ooh, it is quite dark, I think, actually, in this. And I'm borderline comfortable with that, because I still see Doctor Who as a family show. But I don't know. Because you've got kids, and I mean, a lot of people said that the monsters were very scary, which I thought they were, but I thought that was a good thing. But I did find the sort of other darker side of the actual suicide nature, perhaps, a bit sort of on the edge. What did you think? As someone who's a family man, did you think it was family viewing? Because a lot of people did criticise it for being too dark.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe just a touch, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. No, my son didn't watch this one with me. He wasn't here, and we normally do catch up and watch it because we have it on, because I record it on Sky. So we normally watch it, a day or two after if he's not around. And I have to say, but I think I agree. I think there are some quite dark themes in this one.
Yeah,
because he would be quite scared by the monks. The mummified looking.
They looked great, didn't they? But they were scary. Yeah.
So he would be kind of, on face value, scared by that stuff, because that's just monsters in Doctor Who. Sometimes they can be quite creepy or scary. But I think, I mean, as a youngster viewing it, with the various mentions of suicide and death and so on, maybe it is maybe it is going close to the line,
It reminded me a bit of Dark Water, actually. Remember how that got quite close to bone about the whole when you die you're still alive. I can't remember, there was something in there that I remember thinking, oh, that's really nasty, like if you think about it. I mean, I don't know, a lot of it probably goes over kids' heads, so maybe it's just the fact that we pick it up. But I did think it on a second watch. I could see why some people who felt it was perhaps a little bit dark for a family show. But because I quite like Doctor Who when it goes dark, but I obviously thinking about it from a family show point of view, maybe it was just on the edge a little bit at times. No, I agree.
It was it definitely had some dark undertones there. And it was quite I wouldn't say it was graphic, but there was definitely that it didn't shy away from stuff. So the guy that we saw in the secret library at the Vatican, you know, the guy who runs off with the pistol and then he shoots himself.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from what he's done. You know, you can't mask that in a, you know, so it wasn't shying away. But the one scene that I thought was very forward, if you like, was when Bill and Nardole go through one of the portals, end up at the, you know, the CERN scientific research place.
Yes, yeah.
And all the scientists have got all of those explosives wired up to all of the tables. You know, I thought that was very, what's the word? Like I said, it's not graphic because you don't see anybody sort of dismembered or being killed or anything. But, you know, that sort of, you know, especially the world we live in today.
Yeah, and it's a dark imagery, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm thinking of events recently, like with Manchester and so on. You know, it's not, you know, they didn't have to show that in a way. I mean, I know they sort of made it slightly cartoony because the, you know, the explosive did look like big, you know, cartoony sticks of big red dynamite, you know. So I know,
true,
you know, however, I did feel it was a little, that for me was the bit in the story where I thought, oh, you know, this is a very dark, you know, this is like mass suicide.
Yeah, that's the point I wondered where we were going with it. Because at that point on the first watch, obviously we don't know what we're still asking a lot of questions at that point, aren't we? Like, why are they able to say the same number in the same order? Like, I was thinking, that's why I was quite engrossed in on the first watch, thinking, wow, what's going on here? Right, this is really intriguing me. Like, why do they know the same number? And yeah, but I did the same as you. I was thinking, right, these guys are about to blow themselves up and they seem really happy about it. What is going on in this story, you know? And yeah, when you do find out the reason why that is dark, and especially the old president just sort of lying there with his pills on the floor as well, I was thinking, oh my word, this is really like adult stuff.
Again,
you know?
Yeah, that was quite an adult thing to see. Yeah. And I did quite like that in the story. I like that aspect that the people that did sort of take their own lives, they did so without any sort of worry, or because they knew that they were a simulation. They had figured it out from either reading the Veritas or, you know, because it also was a chain reaction, isn't it? So that guy that had broken into the library in the Vatican, he had emailed it, hadn't he, to CERN?
That's right, yeah.
And they had read it, and then they figured it out. And then, you know, the supposedly random string of numbers. It's all intriguing stuff.
Yeah, I liked all that. Yeah.
But then there was a scene where in CERN where the guy was obviously, you know, a bit tippy because he's ready to sort of see his fate, you know, happy. There were a few scientists there that were sort of rubbing their heads and not sure about it, and you could see the doubt there. But I did find that, I mean, that was one of the things I said originally that I mean with this story. There are moments of genius in there. There are moments of just great Doctor Who and great television. And I was glued, you know. I was like, I even sat there and thought, this is amazing. This is great Doctor Who, you know, that's on right now. But it was just pockets. Ultimately, after a second watch, I found that those moments were just sort of pockets throughout the episode. And really, for me, I thought, I know we'll come on to it, but I thought I think this is her best story so far.
Really? Now that does surprise me because I didn't think Bill got all that much to do this week, actually. I mean, I loved the scene with the date because that gave a much needed injection of humour into what was quite a dark episode. Yeah. That was a lovely scene when she's like, nothing to feel guilty about. And then the Pope pops up and she's like, I'm just going to go and shout at the pipes, or whatever. I thought that was a lovely, you know, scene to have in the middle of this quite dark story. But yeah, no, I'm surprised, mate. Tell me why you think that, because I felt a bit sorry for Bill this episode. I didn't think she got all that much to do, but yeah, no. Tell me why you thought she was great.
Yeah, because I felt like she had really found her feet as a companion in this one. Yeah. I think in the stories up to this point, obviously from the pilot with the introduction to her, it was a bit sort of softly. You know, she's sort of finding her way. Her relationship with the Doctor is, you know, progressing and all that stuff, and she's been very. Like her performance in Oxygen, she was generally quite terrified of what was happening to her. And she was really scared. And also we saw a little glimpse of that in Thin Ice, where she was quite confident, you know, and she was happy to go along with it. But when she saw, like, you know, the kid dragged under the ice, she got very upset and stuff
Freaked
like that.
Out, yeah.
Whereas in this one, I just felt that her confidence level as a companion really just sort of went to that next level and she really found her feet with it, because there was a really cool scene where her and Nardole see like the portal open in the library.
Yeah.
You know, and they're both sort of staring at it, and it's her that instigates that. She's like, we should probably not go and check it out or something. And it's it's almost like she's developed that little glint in her eye that the Doctor gets when everyone else sees it as a scared, terrible situation to run away. But she's now starting to see it almost as the Doctor would see it, sort of more out of interest and I've got to investigate and I've got to see what it's about. So I loved her character for that. And then, obviously we'll find out in episode or 2 maybe where Nardole and Bill have gone. I imagine they've just been deleted from that simulation and their real selves are, well, we know that for a fact because we saw Bill, didn't we, at the end.
Well, she disintegrated, didn't she? And I did ask myself why. I was like, what's just happened? It makes me wonder if maybe in the real world, maybe something else happened to them. I don't know. Oh, no, because we did see the next time trailer, didn't we?
That's it, yeah. So we see them. Yeah, so we know that. Yeah. But like you say, she didn't have a lot of screen time that we've seen in the past episodes with Bill. But for me, what we did see of her, I thought she was just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with that. I think she's fantastic in it. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I really do. And I'll tell you what I did love was her and Nardole together this week, because they spend a lot of this episode, just the two of them together. They were great. And I love the fact that Nardole's slightly warmed towards Bill now, because he had his nose powder placed, didn't he, in the beginning. He was like, what is she doing here? Because the Doctor had found a new friend. And I think now there's this real nice warmth between them, that they're sort of looking out for each other. I mean, there is that scene where Nardole does put Bill in her place when he gets all badass. I thought that was really funny because it's strange actually, because what I liked about that is that scene didn't go the way I thought it would. Like Bill starts standing up for himself, saying, "Don't you tell me I'm walking behind you. I'm going out in front." I thought, that's Moffat writing Bill as a strong female lead, and then you got Nardole comes in and chips in and says, takes his glasses, doesn't he, and gets all serious. He's like, "This is why you're going to walk behind me." But I was like, okay, this is really funny, and he's like, "All right, Bill," and then he turns into a coward, like literally half a second later, doesn't he, when he sees the gun or whatever. But I love the interaction between Nardole and Bill this week. I just thought, loving these guys, especially in the portal when Nardole works out what's going on and he puts his hand in and he's like, "Oh no," and he just disintegrates. And I just thought they were great together. And I do agree with you, mate, about Bill. I thought what she, the bits that she was in this episode, I did think she was great. But yeah, I was sort of thinking in terms of like, she wasn't as prominent, I suppose, this week, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But I wouldn't say it was the strongest episode in my view, just because she wasn't in it that much. But I agree with you. What she was in, I thought she was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Sorry, go on. You just thought.
No, I just because I just love her and Nardole together. I thought they were great.
They were great.
Sort of enjoyed them on screen. Whenever they were on the screen. I mean, with that bit where they go in the Vatican, ridiculous, but quite a funny little scene at the same time. Yeah.
And I really did actually, the same as you. I really enjoyed the tag team of Bill and Nardole, because I thought in Oxygen he was a bit whiny throughout most of it, and him and Bill didn't really have much of a team up sort of going on. But I thought
it's just good to see that other side of Nardole, wasn't it? When he does actually put his foot down, it's like, oh, get you,
Yeah, and I also thought that they've got the balance pretty much right now, because let's rewind a bit to when Clara was in the episode.
Yeah,
the way that Clara was written is that she would have been in an episode like this all the time.
True.
You know, so I think it's good to not have so much focus on the companion and get back to, we've said it loads of times, throughout the Moff era, let's get back to having it about the Doctor.
Yeah.
And his plan, and he's driving it and all that stuff. So,
but it's interesting having the Doctor in this. So, not at full strength, still got the blindness going on, and he's using all these devices just to be able to function. Now, what did you think about that? Because I'm still undecided about that. I mean, I think it's I think it adds an extra element of danger to the episode, especially when he borrowed some sight from his future or something. I thought, what's going on here? Where's that leading? Because he does throw out a few, I don't know, maybe I won't be able to regenerate anymore, or maybe I won't be able to do this. And I think that's going to have some effect
of course,
on his regeneration because of the things he was saying. But what did what are you feeling about the Doctor being blind? Because I think it's quite good, but on the other hand, I can't wait for him to just get back to being normal. So I wouldn't say I'm tired of it already, but I don't know. There were times I was thinking, oh, come on, just like I think at the end, I just wanted him to be able to see again. I was thinking, come on, but I don't know. I still think it's a good thing, but we can't have it dragged out too much longer, I don't think. Or it'll get a bit annoying.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, yeah, it's a great performance from Capaldi to do this, to play a blind person. But the two things for me that, having to wear the sonic shades all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not so bad in itself, but then that creates the problem with the budget can only stretch so far. So then you have like really bad graphics that you have to look at when you're looking through the Doctor's eyes, if that makes sense, or through his
and how is
shades.
he even seeing him? Because that's what I kept thinking. So he's blind, but the shade, how's he seeing what's in the shades? I don't,
Yeah, well, I
how
think
do they work?
Well, I think that the way he operates the sonic screwdriver is kind of it's by thought, isn't it? Somewhat. So I think it's like a two-way thing. Maybe he's not controlling, but the sonic shades are sort of passing that telemetry back to him.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
But it just looks awful, like that horrible green. I mean, they don't look so like sophisticated sort of controls that you would see for something like that. It does look very, very basic. And any of our older listeners who used to own the old, I remember my first computer being, I think it was an Amstrad CPC 64 or something like that, and it had the screen with just one color, which was this really bright garish green. It really reminded me of those really old games I used to play on there. And I thought, wow, the graphics aren't too dissimilar from 20-year-old computing. But there we go. It's I mean,
now you mention it.
I'm really hoping that they do sort this out. I don't want him to be playing like the blind Doctor for much longer, because I think the novelty is going to wear off, and we just need to crack on with the story, and so on. But there are some little interesting nuggets, like you said. He does throw out, so he's borrowing some sight from one of his future selves, if you like, which I found a bit. It's too easy. It's one of those things that you see in Who, where it's like, if only we had a spaceship, and then a spaceship lands in front of them.
It's a very Moffat thing to do as well, isn't it? Just how can I get around this? I know I've got it. It does it. It's a bit throwaway.
It's a bit wishy-washy. It just seems like it's too easy of a plot device to put in there, because now, essentially, what he's done, is, poor Chibbers, the Moff has basically said to him, right, here's a clean slate, go and do your thing. However, I've also taken away X, Y, and Z, so you're going to have to factor that into everything that you do.
I did think the same thing. I was thinking, like, he's putting all this stuff in there that old Chibbers was going to have to deal with later on, we assume. I just wonder where we're going with it. I'm thinking, is this going to, and I keep thinking, why can't the Doctor regenerate his eyes? Or will he regenerate if he does that, or what? There's still a lot of questions we haven't got answered, but I see where we're going with it.
So what did you think to some of the story stuff then? Because we did have, again, just to touch on this very briefly, visually looks very, very lovely, as all the episodes have done. The editing, I think we can say that's a bit of a disaster.
I think it was just a bit odd, wasn't it? It wasn't slick, because you can do timey-wimey. We can do flashbacks very well, but I don't know about you, mate, but you do know what I mean by that, don't you? It wasn't just me. It just kept sort of going. I don't know. It just seemed odd, the editing, to me this week. It didn't flow.
I think it was jarring because we had quick cuts, and then we also had sort of fade to blacks, and then there was black screens that lasted a second or two longer or shorter than the other one. And
because if it was like the Doctor passing out and then that's what he's thinking while he's passed out. That would make sense because like that weird cut I mentioned earlier. If we'd have then cut to the Doctor sort of waking up or something, but it doesn't. It just fades to black and then instantly starts in the next scene. And I was thinking, what's going on? Yeah. It just seemed a bit jarring to me. But
Well, you could say that it's creative editing. There's probably editors or people studying that stuff who think it was, absolutely
something different,
phenomenal, and it was great for a TV show to be doing that stuff. But I think from somebody that doesn't, understand the ins and outs technically of editing, or that stuff, it just felt very jarring and a bit.
Yeah, I would say
a bit weird. Yeah. So we had it was a story of 2 parts really, because it was a series of flashbacks as well, wasn't it? Explaining. So let's talk about the stuff with Missy then.
Yes, we should. Yeah.
Let's touch on that because we've been waiting to find out since the start of the series what is in the vault. Mm-hmm. And the quantum chamber, as we found it out to be, which so it was a nice little mini twist to kick off those flashbacks because the Doctor is being shown around the execution area.
Yeah.
And you initially thought it's for the Doctor. You thought, is the Doctor going to be the one getting the chop here?
I liked that twist.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I like that.
Yeah. So that was quite cool. So the guy sort of, reeling out what's going to happen to him. That's what it looked like at first glance. Because the Doctor looks quite worried and perturbed, doesn't he? He's not acting like somebody that's carrying out the execution for another Time Lord. His look on his face, you kind of feel like it's happening to him.
Yeah.
And then Missy comes out and then you think, right. So it's not the Doctor getting the chop. Missy's been sentenced somehow, captured and sentenced to death. And it's got to be the Doctor to carry out the sentence because according to whatever, has to be another Time Lord to do it. So I really
that was
like
a good twist. Yeah, it was a good twist. And Missy mentions the Daleks, doesn't she? 'Cause, I don't know. Are we ever going to find out how she got away from the Daleks, or do you think the Moff's just written a line under that and said? Because she just sort of says, according to the Daleks, you're on beryllium or something. It's as if she made a deal with them and they've just let her go, or what? We don't know.
Yeah. So beryllium, that's where isn't that where the Doctor ends up with River?
River song. Yeah.
And doesn't she say, sorry about River or whatever? She mentions River, doesn't she?
She says sorry to hear about your loss or something like that. Yeah.
So quite a vulnerable Missy in this bit.
Very.
We see her very upset and she almost breaks down. So when the Doctor's about to do it, and we all know that he wasn't going to do it. Come on, we all know that the Doctor and the Master. It's been a thing, hasn't it? In Who for so long.
Yeah, I did like it because it reminded me a little bit of the McGann movie. Where he's carrying the Master and the Master's sentenced to death or whatever, or at the start of the TV movie, and then he's got him in the casket and he turns into the snake and all that. I was thinking it's a bit like that, isn't it? The poor old Doctor always has to get called in to do the dirty stuff, do the dirty work.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it was a bit like the movie. The Doctor's, custodian of the Master to be put in. So I did think, like, is he going to? No, he's not going to do it. And very vulnerable Missy. But then, as we've grown to love really from her performance as the Master, I suppose, she turns instantly back into, so they think that she's either dead or passed out, unconscious on the mat, and then she sort of wakes up, doesn't she? And says something quite funny and then lays back down again. Yeah.
She's like, take your time. I've just been executed over here or something. Yeah.
So, snap a finger, she's back into normal Missy mode and stuff. So that's the reveal, isn't it? That's how we find out because he has to keep her in there for 1,000 years. That's the deal.
That's it.
And so I think that the Doctor sort of, he sort of alters the deal, if you like. He sabotages the whatever mechanism is going to destroy the Missy. But I think he just rigs it, doesn't he? So that she's just unconscious for a bit. But it's interesting to me that why he has to carry out the second part. So if he's not bothered at all by, throwing the rule book out the window and not, taking her life, it seems weird that he he has to follow up on that other part. Then why would he have to keep her in the vault for 1,000 years and all that if he's not bothered about the rules? Clearly, why not just let her go? Because he obviously didn't kill her like he was supposed to.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose maybe because he just knows she'll go off wreaking havoc again. Perhaps he's just a bit torn on what he should do. He's thinking, well, I better keep her locked up because otherwise she'll be off destroying the universe or something. But yeah, I did sort of think the same thing. I was thinking, yeah, so he sort of backed out of doing the actual execution, which we knew he would. But yeah, why does he still feel he's got to honour the 1,000 years or whatever it is? The thing I did like about that, though, is they did play on the friendship of the two of them again, which I always think is good. Mm-hmm. I liked that. Yeah, and I think it makes sense that they would get the Doctor to do it. So that was all good. But yeah, I don't know. I guess he's just trying to keep her out of trouble. Maybe.
Yeah, which is needed.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a reveal. I'm not sure how you felt about that. I just felt it was a bit of a...
Yeah, it felt really flat. Got to be honest. I was just like, oh, that's very disappointing. Even though the actual scene was nice and location was great by that lake and the set pieces they'd put up looked good. Got a great actor in there, actually, a guy I really like, who I don't know what his name is, but he's starred in Humans. I don't know if you ever watched Humans, but
yeah, that's great.
Great series, and he was in that playing the character Max. What's his real name? It's something Jeremiah, I think. Can't remember his actual real name. Ivano, that's it.
Jeremiah, yep.
Ivano Jeremiah, yeah, great actor. Do you know, it's funny, when they were talking about new Doctor Who's, I was watching Humans at the time, and I was thinking he would make a great Doctor, but now he's been in it. Not that will stop them, but now he's been in it, perhaps so soon it probably won't happen. But yeah, it's good to see him in Who anyway, and I thought he was good in it. Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about that scene, well, not that I didn't like it, but I was just like, God, the Moff's done that so many times, is to get out of the situation, the Doctor's like, look me up. And they look him up, and then they all run away. And I was like, oh, the Moffat has done that quite a lot. You know, he's got to stop doing that. Well, he'll have to stop because he'll be sacked soon. But you know what I mean? I did think that is a very typical Moffat trope, isn't it? Of the Doctor saying, you know, look me up, you'll be scared of me. And then they look him up and they all run away. And he did it again. So that was the only thing that slightly niggled me in that scene. But I guess it was just to move it on quickly. But you know what I mean? He has done that a lot, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's too easy. Like I said, it's with the whole thing with the Moff throwing in the... what was it I mentioned a little while ago? It's just too easy of a script device to to sort the story out. It's just
How did the Doctor get Missy in the vault as well? Like, is it all the way over in that river? Like, I mean, I just got visions of the Doctor dragging her, and how did he get her in there?
Well, I don't know. He would have,
because she's not the easiest person to deal with, is she? She's not just going to walk in.
Well, maybe she knows she has to. Maybe she feels like, well, you've done me a favour, you've kept me alive. You know, now I'll do this thing that you want me to do because you saved my life. So maybe we'll never know, will we? Unless we have another flashback scene.
I think we will. I'm starting to think of all sorts of theories, like maybe this whole thing is a plan between her and the Daleks to get her into the vault, to get her into where she needs to be. And I don't know, it could be anything, couldn't it?
It could be. And that's what I was thinking after I watched this on the rewatch. I think this is only the beginning of a bigger twist, if you like. I think there's lots more to come.
Yeah, definitely.
With all this, I think we've only just scratched the surface of what's going on. But the whole Missy thing, it was expected. We all knew she was going to be in it. We all knew, and I think most of us suspected it was her in the vault. It would have been nice to have her make a bit more of an entrance, if you like, because she just comes out the door and it's a bit flat. There's no, I'm not saying we needed a big drum roll or anything, and announce Missy, but it would have been nice to make more of it.
She wasn't, don't remember seeing her in the Next Time trailer, actually. Could be wrong.
No, I don't think she is, no.
Okay. Because I was about to say, maybe this week the doors will finally open and we'll get to see inside. But I was just thinking, actually, I don't remember seeing her in the trailer. But anyway, we'll see. And
we obviously know that there's more to come in terms of twists and more stuff involved with Missy because we've got John Sims Master to
somewhere in the mix
to look forward to. So there's definitely there's a big tangle of something going on that we're going to see. I'm not sure if it's going to be next week, but there's definitely more to come.
What do you reckon to this idea of 3 different writers writing this 3-parter? Because I think that's quite a nice idea, actually. So the Mothball set it up. He's done his usual thing, and then he said, right, you carry on from here to whoever's writing next week's. Who is next week's? Don't know who it is. Can't remember now.
Is it Pyramid at the End of the World next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can't remember. Yeah, that was no surprise to anyone. We can't remember.
But what do you reckon to this idea of 3 different writers writing the trilogy? So it'd probably make it more fun and diverse, I think.
I like the fact that we've got 3 different writers because, like we've said so many times, the Moth is great at an idea and a concept.
Yes.
He's just not that amazing sometimes at sort of executing that on screen. You know, I think if he's one of these people that has these amazing ideas for Doctor Who, you can tell that he's a lifelong fan and he really gets Doctor Who, and he has these just superb ideas. And on paper, just as a paragraph, when he's pitching it to somebody, they probably think, crikey, that's amazing. That's such a brilliant Doctor Who story. But then when it comes to actually writing the script and the details, I think he just loses himself a little bit, and he just goes off on a huge, massive tangent with things.
He loses his way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm quite glad that it's somebody else writing the next 2, because, I mean, very often I'm thinking of like Dark Water. I thought was fairly decent from what I remember, and then we got what was the final called? Death in Heaven.
Yes,
was just dreadful, wasn't it? And I'm just thinking, so he like you say, he very often comes up with this great start and then just completely falls apart in the second half. And he's done that, a few times. So like Heaven Sent and Hell Bent, it's a bit of a Moffatism. So I'm quite pleased that he's set it up. He's done his bit. And I personally thought he did it well. And then somebody else will get to do it, and then somebody else will get to finish it. And hopefully it'll pay off. I think it will. But
it's Peter Harness.
Peter Harness, there we go.
Yeah. Very, very up and down, though. So he wrote the brilliant Zygon 2-parter.
Yes, really did like that, yeah.
However, he also wrote Kill the Moon.
I didn't mind Kill the Moon. I know a lot of people hate it. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was awful.
Really?
But no, I didn't mind Kill the Moon. I know it's not popular amongst fandom, but don't know. Concentrate on the Zygon one. It was very good.
Yeah, the Zygon
one. The Zygon one. And then Toby Whithouse is writing the sort of third part, the Lie of the Land. He's done quite a lot, hasn't he? Toby Whithouse. What did I say? Whitehouse?
Whithouse, yep.
Yeah, he's doing the final part. So he did like School Reunion, which is good. Vampires of Venice, God Complex, divisive. A lot of people like it. Town Called Mercy. Yeah, he's done loads actually, hasn't he? Under the Lake Before the Flood, he did. So that he should be quite good at wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. Well, I remember. I've got to ask you. Did you, talking of wrapping it up, did you think the way the monk, what are they called? The scary guys. What are they called? The monks.
Just the monks. Yeah.
Is that what they're called? The monks. Now, what do you think about the way they're talking with their mouths open? Because I immediately thought, well, that's how the Mondasian Cybermen talk. They just open their mouths and words come out. I was thinking, now what's going on here? Is it a coincidence or is that going somewhere, do you reckon?
Oh, crikey.
Did you think it?
No, I didn't, mate.
Oh, okay. All right. It might be nothing then. But
no, possibly.
It's just they come in and he did the exact thing that they did, don't it? They open their mouth. Oh. And then, but the voice seems to be coming differently. And I just thought, that's very Mondasian Cybermen. Don't know. Just wondered if that was coincidence or if that's going somewhere.
I'll tell you what, it did look. I know it's not the same thing, but they did look like the Sisterhood of Khan.
Oh, yeah, a bit of the red robe going on. A little bit Pyroville as well.
Yeah, did have that vibe about them.
I just wondered.
Maybe
struck me when I was watching it, but it could be nothing.
Yeah. So the monks in this, then they were a little bit, obviously look very creepy and so on.
They look great. Yeah.
But we don't really find out much more about them, do we? Other than they're there to take the Veritas from the library, from the Doctor, and that's it. They're off.
Yeah, we don't really find out a lot.
I assume we will. I assume we'll find out in the next episode or two what's going on with those guys. But I thought they were quite cool.
Yeah, I just thought they looked proper scary. I mean, the silents are a good design, but I always think as soon as they stretch their hands out and you get the wobbly, rubbery fingers, I always think they lose it a little bit. But these guys probably look scary. I mean, we had proper close-ups of the faces as well, and I just thought they did the job, and I really want to see more of them. I thought, I'm hoping. I've got a feeling it'll be the third part where they really kick off. I get a feeling next week's going to be another bit of exploration and a little bit more story, hopefully a couple of answers. And I think the third part, I think the monks are really going to kick off. So we'll see. But yeah, I thought they looked fantastic.
They did.
Yeah, great monster.
And I also really like the look of the guys with the whole Missy flashback scene.
Yeah, I loved all that.
I really like the how all those guys looked.
Yes, yeah. I thought that whole setting and everything looked really great, actually. Nice and simple, but it looked quite classy. Yeah, I liked it. Thought it was all good.
Murray Gold's music, I thought, was really quite almost non-existent for the most part in terms of nothing really stood out to me apart from one bit which I just wanted to mention. And there's a bit where the doctor, it cuts back to we see a little bit with Missy where she's like pleading with the doctor not to do it. And then we cut back to the doctor. He's got those the weird text reader thing plugged onto his head, and it's a variation on the theme. This is Gallifrey.
Oh yeah. Now someone else mentioned this, and I both times I've watched it, I must have missed it because I didn't pick up on it. But I saw really someone say it on Twitter. I'll have to go back and watch it again because I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite pieces of music from Murray Gold.
Great piece. Yeah.
And when I heard it, I thought that's that track, and I thought this is lovely, and it's just a bit slower. A slightly different arrangement. That's it.
I didn't hear that. I must go back and watch it. I did not notice it.
Well, you don't hear that bit from the original piece of music.
Right.
It's just it's a slower, softer sort of arrangement. But I thought it was great that he brought that back.
Oh, excellent.
For this year. So the rest of it, I thought it was just quite generic. There wasn't anything that jumped out that I thought, wow, this is brilliant music or anything. But that one scene, I thought was really good.
I must admit, I haven't written anything about the music this week. It didn't, nothing. I didn't notice it. You're quite right, actually. Not in a good or a bad way. I think, like you said, it was quite minimal this week, so I didn't really pick out anything at all to do with the music this week. No.
What about the Vatican aspect of it, the religious side of things, with the Pope turning up and the Vatican peeps and?
Yeah, well, I did, as I said earlier, I like the scene with Bill. Her poor date getting ruined and all that, and I also like the bit where they first see the doctor and Nardle's like, no, the doctor says, oh, is it a collection tin thing or something? And Nardle's like, no. I thought that was lovely. Really, really liked all that, and again we went straight from that to very serious bit at them at the table, talking about the Veritas, and I was probably like you at that point thinking, this is great. What's this Veritas about? And these, I was thinking this is great stuff. So I quite liked all that, and I like the way Nardle's like, when the doctor couldn't see what it was called, the doctor's like, "What's the book called?" And Nardle's like, "Oh yes, I can see it's called the Veritas." And I think, it's so cute how like Nardle's looking out for the doctor at this point because he knows he can't see and all that, and I liked all that stuff.
No, it's very good, and I quite like the because it's always a bit interesting when Doctor Who has to deal with religion.
It's a tricky subject, isn't it? Yeah,
and the thought of God and so on. So it's interesting that the Pope and the Vatican and so on, they feel like their only sort of way of resolving the issue or finding out what's going on is to consult not a higher power as such, but someone that they're aware. It's interesting that they're aware of the Doctor as not human, and not of this world, if you like. So it's interesting to me from a conflicting point of view that they believe in God and so on, but they're also aware of somebody that doesn't fall into that whole thing and should cancel out their belief in God. So I always find it interesting when they do that, but I did find it really cool that they injected that, because it did carry a weight with it. You did think this is serious, you know, and it really made the story feel quite heavy and quite serious in tone and so on.
Yeah.
And the guy that played the Pope, he's been in it before, hasn't he? He was in. Did you notice the guy Joseph Long? He played in the episode Turn Left. When Donna and her family go to stay with this family. They go and stay with an Asian family. Loads of them in that little house. He's like the dad, at the end when they get shipped off to one of the camps.
Oh, it's him, is it?
Yeah,
no,
it's him. Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice until the second time I saw him, and I thought, I've seen that guy before. And then it's like, it's another person that's been in Who multiple times.
I didn't. No, I didn't pick up on that. No, I didn't recognise him. But I know that. Yeah, I remember that scene because. We haven't reviewed Turn Left, have we? But anyway, I'll save my thoughts a little bit. I do remember that scene. Yeah. So that was him, was it? He's gone from that to being the Pope. Not bad.
Not a bad upgrade. A bit of a promotion.
No, not a bad upgrade.
A few more quid in the pocket.
Yeah.
But yes.
At what point? Sorry, I was going to say, at what point were we in the sort of virtual reality world? That's the only bit I haven't quite got my head around on the second watch. Like, because this does bring me up to the one bit that did slightly fall down for me, because it was all good, I thought. But watching it again second time, I was like, so the fake doctor manages to send the information to the real doctor. That's the only bit that I can't really get on board with, because how does that happen? But anyway, I suppose, again, like a lot of stuff, you just got to go with it. But at what point were we in the virtual world? Where do we, or are we in it straight from the word go, apart from the very sort of pre-title sequence? Are we in it from that point on, or what?
We don't know.
It's not that clear, is it? I suppose because of the flashbacks and stuff. But.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I think we are, and then I think it's at that point. So in the flashbacks, that's the real world, and I think the rest of the story is the simulation.
Yeah.
Or one of the simulations, because there's two, isn't there? There's the one with the doctor reading the Veritas, and there's the other one with the doctor in the White House and so on.
That's it. So what do you think about the way that it was all concluded? The doctor sends
emails,
the real doctor emails, but he's not real. And I don't know? There's a little bit of me thinks that doesn't quite work if you think about it too much. But
yeah, well, I guess that's the premise we have to go with, isn't it?
To a lot of things. Yeah.
So he's recorded all the text with the sonic shades. And then has emailed them to his proper self, because he's realised that it's a simulation. So I guess the Doctor's worked out, because if we look at the bigger picture of Doctor Who, he's a Time Lord, isn't he? So he's aware of how to get from A to B across time and space. So I guess he knows how to do that.
Yeah, I suppose so. On the second watch, it did strike me as a bit. It's a very typical Moffat thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like he got to the end of the script, he's like very pleased with himself. He's like, right, just got to tie this all together now. How can I do that in 30 seconds? I got it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't really bother me, but it did. I did think about it more on a second watch.
I totally read you. I get it's another one of those little things in the episode that was a little bit too easy and a bit moff to just. Let's just tie up the episode by doing this, because we don't have to think too much about that.
Yeah,
so I read you. Yeah, there's a bit. Yeah. Okay, so we've spoken about some story stuff. We've spoken about Missy and the whole vault reveal. Spoken about the monks. Spoken about the Vatican peeps. Spoken about Bill and Nardole. Okay, let's talk about anything else story-wise before we speak about Capaldi and his performance.
No, I will just say something about Nardole, though. I absolutely loved him in this week's episode, because I was a bit disappointed that he didn't get to do much last week apart from follow the Doctor around moaning. I thought he was great this week, Matt Lucas. I really, really enjoyed him in it. I thought he was funny. I love the bit where he snaps and tries to be all authoritative in front of Bill, and she's like, what? And all that. I just thought that was great. So, absolutely loved Pearl Mackie and Matt Lucas in this week's story together. I'm hoping we get more of that next week. Thought they were great.
Yes, I read you.
Yeah.
So Capaldi then.
Capaldi.
So in terms of, if we discount some sort of niggles with the story and so on, I would say that Capaldi's performance was outstanding in this. I think the struggle that I've never had to do it, so I can't comment, but I would say that having to play a blind character and do that on top of not carrying the story, because the story wasn't a terrible one that needed carrying really, but carrying the responsibility of the program, on your shoulders and having to do all that stuff. I just thought it was just amazing.
Yeah,
from start
I'd
to
agree
finish.
with you. I thought he was. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal this series so far. And yeah, like you said, that's why I think it's quite interesting to have this twist of him being blind, because I think it is giving us another sort of dynamic to the Doctor, and Capaldi's playing it really, really well. And I've always liked the fact that Capaldi's Doctor makes gadgets and things, and so no, I think Capaldi's excellent. I thought he was superb in this story again. And it's funny because like that scene when he grabs the laptop and he's got a little bit of sight back, and then he's sort of falling on the floor and he's in proper peril, isn't he? And all that, and all those scenes, he's just so good in them. I'm thinking about the bit where he gets strapped to the chair, and then he's already sort of planned it. Like his sight comes back, and then he realizes that actually it's not, it's these evil Pope guys that are actually in the room and all that. I just every scene he's in, I just think he's just absolutely electric. He's good with the banter. He's good with the cutting remarks. He's great at just feeling in charge of a situation like that. He's knocking it out of the park, mate. He's really has cemented himself as one of the best Doctors, I think, in this series. He's brilliant.
Definitely, yeah. And some of this, I mean, he's just on fire in everything. So the scenes with Missy,
particularly good in those. Yeah,
sort of quite understated, quite sort of calculated. He knows what he's going to do. He's got his plan all sorted out. He knows he's not going to kill her. That's for sure. And he's so cool. When that guy's approaching him and he's like, "Look me up." I know that's a bit. We said it's a bit meh.
It's been done before. But yeah, it's
however,
still good.
The way that he delivers it and the way that he goes through it, he's just so cool.
And it's the whole look as well.
Yeah,
he just looks like the Doctor now. The hair's a bit longer. He's a bit more ragged. I love what he was wearing in the Missy scenes. That weird black coat just suited him down to the ground. You know what I mean? I was just thinking he's rocking this Doctor. He's got the hair, the jacket, the look, everything. He just seems like so cool and in charge. I love this persona of the Doctor that we're getting now. It's brilliant, and I think the Doctor and Missy work well together. I know some people don't like Missy, some people do. I like her for the most part, but I always think she works very well with Capaldi's Doctor, if you know what I mean. So I am looking forward to seeing a bit more of them together, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right, scores. Shall we go on to that, or have you got anything else you want to say?
No, let's just go to the scores.
It's me to go first, so I am going to go with a 7.
A 7?
Yeah.
I thought you might go higher. I'm going slightly higher, 7.5. I'm putting it on par with Pilot. I was going to call it the Puddle. The Pilot. I thought it was very good. If I was to have written a score straight after watching it, I would have given it an 8. But it doesn't bear up as well on a second watch, I have to be honest. It's still good though. 7.5 for me on that one.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
I would have given it a bit higher score, mate. But I just thought that those two big story elements could have been done a bit,
It's a setup as well. It's a setup episode. That's the only thing that takes it away from being really, really great, I think, is that it does just set things up for, it goes round in a circle, basically, by the end of it. So, yeah, it's a bit of a setup episode, but still enjoyed it.
Yes. What did our listeners think? Our beautiful listeners. We're going to kick off with an audio review. This is first time audio sender in a person. You will have known her from all of our awesome synopsis from all of our past episode reviews. This is Sammy Satine.
Yay!
G'day, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, Extremis, well, Naru was badass this week. Go, Naru! Missy was back. Yay! Apparently about to be executed. I wasn't sure who was the prisoner, and while I knew the doctor wouldn't kill her, I couldn't be 100% sure. Without hope, without witness, without reward. Not gonna judge this until I've seen the episode The Lie of the Land. So you'll have to wait for that to find out. Anyway, take care, guys. See ya.
Thank you, Sammy.
Hey, Sammy, how nice to put a voice to the... Because Sammy's been commenting for a long time.
Forever.
So, yeah, thanks, Sammy.
Yeah,
thanks, Sammy. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's cool. Thank you. Over on Twitter, Darren, Twitter name Cult Dissection, says, convoluted beep, despite being a pretty decent episode, laugh out loud. Neil, Twitter name Bride to Moon, says, I definitely need to do a rewatch. Loved it the first time, but I felt it missed some bits.
Okay.
Over on Facebook, Jake Birtwistle says, I didn't go into Extremis with high expectations because of Moffat, but I was pleasantly surprised. An all right story. Confusing, but still entertaining. Annoys me the fact that Missy was in the vault, and also we didn't get the grand entrance. The weakest episode of Series 10 so far. 7 out of 10. Let's do another audio clip. This is Joe Sweeney.
Hello again, Adam. Hope you guys are well. Extremists. It is a good story in itself. I mean, on first watch, I did found it a bit hard going because I didn't know what was going on. But on the second watch, I did slightly enjoyed it a bit more because I understand the concept of the Doctor and Bill Nardole being inside assimilation and believing into thinking that they are real when they are not. Peter Capaldi, I thought he was quite good, and it was quite interesting seeing the Doctor being so vulnerable in his blind state, and the Sonic Shades. Despite I hated them in Series 9, I really liked them in this episode because they had a purpose, and it was assisting the Doctor with his blindness, and it would have been a perfect way to introduce them in this episode. Nardole was really good. I liked him because he was like protecting Bill, and Bill was just there, and she didn't really do a lot. And Missy, there was a loose thread. It was never explained of how she escaped from the Daleks. And Missy being inside the vault was just a massive letdown, and it was predictable as well because the next time trailer from last week's episode gave her away that she was in it. So overall, a good episode. So I'm hoping the next episode ties up all the loose ends. So I'll give it a score of a 6 out of 10.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Some interesting points there. Yeah, I think a lot of people said on the first watch it was a bit, what's going on? On the second one, it sort of makes a bit more sense. But yeah. Cheers,
it definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do another audio clip. This is Ollie Cowley.
Hello, Gary and Adam. I thought Extremis was awful. So it starts off with Michelle Gomez, who I already don't like, and it was revealed that she was in the vault all along. And I just thought that this was an absolutely just awful payoff because, I mean, how predictable was it? And there was no sort of build-up to it. And all the scenes with her in the episode, they might as well have just held up a sign saying these are irrelevant. They had no point at all. So the River Song reference with the diary I thought was pointless. I mean, it's a Stephen Moffat script, so you've got to have the references to River, but I don't like it. In episode 1, there was her picture. Now there was her diary. So in episode 12, is there going to be a golden statue or something? There's no point to the Pope in the episode, otherwise it being, the Pope meets Doctor Who. And Bill's turned out a bit like Clara, where she just seems completely just to take it in her stride that there's, a Pope in her bedroom. So the lighting, I thought, in the library was really quite bad because it's just, I couldn't see what was going on. It was all dark and I just couldn't see. I thought the explanation that he just read the audiobook, I thought that was an absolutely pathetic explanation, to be honest. As with all Stephen Moffat scripts, it just didn't hang together very well. The only thing I actually liked was Nardole, believe it or not. Out of the 8 episodes he's been in, this is the only one I've liked him in. Overall, a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Oh dear, not very impressed. I mean, sorry, what was who was that?
That's Ollie Cowley.
Ollie, you do make some good points, Ollie. I do understand where you're coming from on a lot of that. But thanks for sending in.
Not happy
with it
at all. Okay, back on Facebook. Maria Kalatichau. She says, must admit I've watched it 3 times and it's not my favourite.
Oh.
All of the scenes at the lake with Missy look stunning and highlight the emotional tone of the episode, but the rest of it feels quite dry for me, especially the eventual, just everything eventually a simulation. Capaldi is great. Get to see the Doctor's vulnerability and the compassion with Matt Lucas. Does get to show how good he can be. And explained how Nardole came to be with the Doctor and his attitude with Bill. She says, but the tone of it feels quite Sherlocky, and all of the changing structure with the times and locations. Some fairly straightforward and frankly really enjoyable episodes this year, and it feels a bit of a curveball. Clever, but not my cup of tea.
Fair enough.
Neil Monday, I loved it. Completely riveting story with a few interesting twists and turns. A bit disappointed it was Missy in the vault, but it was pretty obvious that was going to happen. TARDIS team working brilliantly. Still 2 parts to go, so I look forward to seeing more. 8 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
George Coppen. You can tell it's a Moff episode, but I love the idea of a practice Earth to invade. You can see that the Doctor hates being blind, and it's interesting to see how he's handling it. Anyway, good episode. Brilliant monster, 7.5.
Right, yep, decent.
Miles Mackenzie. If you get the plot, it's a fantastic story. Really can't really properly judge the episode because it's a 3-parter. But Peter, Pearl and Matt are such a great TARDIS team. The monks are very creepy. Sonic Shade serve the purpose, which is great. Also, the backstory and how Nardole and the Doctor met was a nice touch. Overall, great episode, 8.5.
Ooh, good.
Another one. This is our penultimate audio review. This is Owen Daly.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. So yeah, Extremis. I'm deeply, deeply disappointed. I think from the second we found out who was in the vault, this story was going downhill. It was like a roller coaster ride. The whole series was going up to this point about who's in the vault, and all of a sudden it just crashed down, and it was a disappointment. It was too obvious to be Missy, and at least I would have liked it if they revealed Missy with the vault doors opening, not just the Doctor off the cuff talking to Missy through the vault. Like, there was no reveal, there was nothing. It was just him saying, oh yeah, Missy's in the vault, by the way, in case you didn't realise. And the subplot about her being put in the vault was just why? Why did we have to see that at this point in the series? Why couldn't that be, I don't know, the first episode or the second episode? Just didn't fit in with the narrative of this story, had nothing to do with the narrative of this story. This story, Extremis, was Stephen Moffat balancing 2 different setups. He was setting up the vault in the story, and then he was also setting up Pyramid at the End of the World. This story was an hour-long setup, and unlike The Ark in Space, which has beautiful setup in part 1, this story was dragged, it was boring, it was convoluted, and we understand you're clever, Stephen Moffat. You don't have to keep trying to prove you're clever with these complicated stories. Just tell a straightforward story. The monks were a good idea, but just the whole simulation thing just kind of made me going, this is a bit of a cop-out ending. And sadly, this is the second episode where I've been disappointed this year, and by Stephen Moffat. I'm sorry to say that I'm disappointed, so I'm going to have to give this one a 5 out of 10 down the middle. I need to watch it again, but overall I'm just disappointed with it.
Oh dear.
Owen, disappointed. I just got this feeling that Moffat's sat in his chair just smugly laughing to himself. I bet he's put something else in there. He's probably thinking, hey, you all think you know, because we have not seen those doors open yet.
True.
And I refuse to believe that they're just going to open and Missy's going to come out. If she does, that will be disappointing, but I still believe it's something else in there.
I think so too. I think you're right. Yep. Yeah. Which leads on nicely to Martin Arnold's comment, who says, I think you've got to go with this one. If you think about the gaping plot holes, you end up banging your head against the wall. Enjoyable enough, but the vault reveal was very disappointing. Though since we haven't actually seen inside yet, it could be Moffat is playing with our expectations. It's a trap.
Yes, that's what, the more I think of it, the more I think it is.
It's a trap. Rob Kernock says, Missy in the vault, bangs head on desk. He said, wasn't a massive fan of the story. Characters were great as usual, had some cool moments. Not amazing, not terrible, 7.5.
Okay.
Joseph Howarth, kind of disappointed about Missy being in a vault. All that build up for nothing. Anyways, I thought this episode was pretty good. I like how everything was a virtual simulation, and that premise alone pretty much kept me guessing. Sonic Shades had a purpose after all. Seeing as this is a 3-parter, I can't really say too much other than I enjoyed it. Doctor and Bill, brilliant as always. The monks were creepy. Good twists. 8 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Lewis Palmer, I don't think I can judge this fully until the other parts. I will say I was very disappointed. Incredibly convoluted plot. I usually don't like simulation episodes of TV anyway, and this was no exception. What was the point in caring about the events of the episode if none of it was real?
No.
It all just felt a bit pointless. Once the other parts have aired, I might like this more, but for now, it's not one I will return to frequently.
Oh, cheers, Lewis.
Last couple, Luke Allen, rather annoyed that Missy was in the vaults. Seems like a common theme, that. Moffat announced her return ages ago, but the rest of it was brilliant. That bit with Nardole disappearing from the projection and Nardole being a badass definitely are some of my favourite parts. A little biased, though, since I interviewed Matt Lucas on Friday. Oh, you lucky bugger.
You.
Yeah. 8.5.
Okay, good score.
Yes. His podcast is called Bottle O Podcast, by the way.
What's it called?
Bottle O Podcast.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
Which is on YouTube and SoundCloud.
Okay.
Danny Brown.
Excellent.
Says, well, Moffat, you've pulled it out of the bag. Well done, sir. Genius plot. Missy was fantastic. Everyone was great. Even Nardole. Can't really fault it. 9 out of 10.
Oh, 9 out of 10.
That's going to do for Facebook. Last audio clip. This is the ever-entertaining Jay Kent.
Hey, Gary and Adam, hope you're all good. Now, Extremis. I think that more or less sums up how I feel about this episode, when after it I still don't know how to pronounce the title, which, just like this episode, felt a bit pointless. You had some really good concepts in this episode, and there were some gems, like the way they found out they were in a simulation and the suicides being a rebellion against the whole thing. But since this whole episode was augmented, what really had consequence in this? All that we know is that the monks exist. We don't know what they want, we don't know what they're planning, we don't know what they're capable of, apart from creating realistic holograms. We know Missy is predictably in the vault, but that didn't really mean anything in this episode. Obviously, I can't say for certain just yet, but it felt like this was just one long bit of context for the next 2 episodes. I forgot Moffat was writing this one, but a few lines of pretentious and contrived dialogue made it easy to guess. I hope the next 2 episodes soar in quality and Series 10's streak of enjoyable adventures with imaginative monsters continues, and Moffat doesn't vanish up his own arse before the end of the series. I give it a 5.5 out of 10. See you next week, guys, where hopefully something of consequence happens.
Oh dear, Jay. I was winding him up the other day about being negative. Oh, he's not impressed.
Not impressed.
Jay Kent, not impressed.
So that's all the official stuff. Did you have anything come through on your channel, sometimes known as the Geek's Handbag?
Yeah, I did. I had a lot this week. Thanks for all your comments, guys. It was so divisive. I mean, we've already had a lot of comments, so I do enjoy reading them, but obviously we haven't really got time to go through all these. But it was just basically, it went from everything from it made my head hurt to it was the best episode ever. Scores range from like 9 out of 10 to 0 out of 10. It was just, it's just the most divisive episode. And I got a lovely review from Elliot Beasley this morning, which I really enjoyed reading through. It's a very long review. But one thing he does point out in it, which struck me, is he wants to know, how did Nardole get River's diary? Because we thought she left it in the library. So how's he got that? Which is quite a good point, actually. Moffat. So anyway, thanks for your comments. Obviously, we've read quite a lot already, so I won't go through them all again. But I will just go to the little Twitter poll that I do every week, because I really enjoy doing this to see how it compared. So I asked people, what did they think of tonight's episode, Doctor Extremists? 60% said it was poor, 11% said it was average, 28% said it was good, and 45% said it was excellent. So overall, it seems mostly positive, but it was a very diversive episode this week. I think a lot of people didn't get it. A lot of people absolutely loved it. So, which I think is a good thing, actually. I think it's quite cool that we've got something to chew the fat on this week.
No, it's cool. And I think that's very, very cool when you have an episode that people either love it or they hate it. The worst thing is when people are, I don't really care.
Yeah, because it's given a lot of debate, isn't it? I mean, one thing this episode has done is given lots of people stuff to talk about. like good or bad. So
yeah. So there we go. Extremis. Bit of a mixed bag, but there we go. Next week then. What's it next week? The Pyramid at the End of the World.
Yeah. I don't know about you, mate, but I can't wait. I am loving Saturdays at the minute. I mean, we're recording this on Wednesday, and I'm already so pumped for Doctor Who this weekend. I haven't been this excited for a series for so long. And I'm really hoping that this Monk trilogy pans out over the last, I hope it's a real good loose trilogy, because I like this setup. I just hope it carries on, if you know what I mean. Like, a lot of people have said they're not going to judge it till they've watched all three, which is fair enough. I'm just hoping that when we do get to the end of the third part, we can go back and watch them all and think that is a great trilogy. That's what I'm hoping.
No, I hope so.
Yeah.
Every trilogy's got a not so great entry. If you look at all the classic trilogies across film and TV, there's always one that's not
a little below par.
A little bit, yeah. It's like Return of the Jedi out of the original trilogy. The first two are, exemplary. But that one, still amazing, but just not quite as good as those two, I don't think.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's going to spark off a whole different conversation, so we should probably end it there.
Yeah, I think we should.
Thank you. 143. It's been a good one.
Yes.
Lots to talk through. So let us know if you end up picking up the poetry book. Because it's something quite different. Not really seen that with Who books much in the past.
No.
Something different. I'll definitely pick it up because the RTD illustrations those little doodles look very cool.
They've sold it to me as well. Yeah. Definitely.
Sold.
Yeah.
Thank you, Russell. Thank you very much to George Garrity for naming our merch Dalek friend. Dalek Tat.
I like that. Yeah.
Very fitting name. So thank you very much, George. We'll run with that. That's what our new friend is called.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cheers, George.
Thank you very much for listening and sending in your reviews and getting in touch and all that stuff. At the end of the review, we always go through and read your comments and all that stuff. But instead of just sitting around and listening, why don't you get involved? Why don't you jump on and become part of the Facebook community and throw your opinion on and get into some chat with some other Who fans? The Big Blue Box community, it's really cool. Lots of friendly faces.
It is.
Lots of Who chat. It's very cool. So check out the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. Listen to all the previous episodes on there. Plus you can link off to the social stuffs. There's also links to iTunes and Android stuffs. So if you're an Android listener, if you're an Android, hope you're enjoying the show. If you're an iTunes listener, if you could give us a rating and a review, that would be awesome, because that really helps us out a lot. We've had some really lovely ones recently as well, so thank you so much. Yeah. It's all good. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Do indeed.
YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
Head over there, give him a sub, give him a like. Loads of cool stuff. His recent videos when he's off in Paris. You know how Adam swans around.
Swans around in the baker's scarf.
Yeah, no, some really cool stuff. Very, very cool. I would highly recommend you go and subscribe.
Thank you.
And there you go. Thank you. Rightio. Until next week, so enjoy The Pyramid at the End of the World, which is out this Saturday. If you listen to this on Friday, hope you have a good night tomorrow. Enjoy that. And our review will be next week. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...